All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, and Shalom to you brothers that's pushing this truth. I'm Karat Zabah, back on another show. In this show, I'm going to be focusing on the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 6, to give the correct understanding of that verse, because you have Christians would try to go here and use this verse to benefit their arguments, and also Hebrew Israelites will read this verse and break it down out of context. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is read it and give you the understanding how Christians take it and how certain Hebrew Israelites would take this verse. So let's go to it. So this is Isaiah 49:6, and it reads, and he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth." Now, a Christian read this and they would try to say that, look, all nations is going to be saved, because it says, thou shalt be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. And they'll take that as that's the whole nation of Israel being saved. And I also will give thee for a light to the Gentiles as being other nations. So this is how a Christian would break this down. Now the problem here is you have certain Israelites. From what I know of, I know you have Genesis Israelites. They would take it as the tribes of Jacob, and the preserved of Israel is the whole nation of Israel also. And the light into the Gentiles is they teach that the Gentiles are the other nations, but not the nations receiving salvation, just meaning in our kingdom. That the Gentiles is going to have to come to us, and keep our laws and learn of our ways, come to our light. But the Christians are wrong, and also Israelites that teach it that way are wrong also. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the verse, and I'm going to give the correct understanding of the verse, and then I'm going to go fully in depth on how to, break the verse down. So this is, let's read it, Isaiah 49:6, and it reads, and he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob." So the servant here is Israel. Okay, ultimately Israel. You could apply Yahweh Shah to this, also. All right, because ultimately Yahweh Shah, but the servant would be Israel, and the Most High use Israel, the prophets, to teach the tribes. Okay. So it says, and he said, "It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel." Now, the tribes of Jacob here and the preserved of Israel, the tribes of Jacob is talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It's not talking about the whole 12 tribes of Israel. And the preserved of Israel is also talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It's the same thing. Now, remember I said that we're going to come back to that. And it says, "I also will give thee for a light to the Gentiles." The Gentiles here are the Israelite foreigners. Okay? So remember I said that the tribes of Jacob are Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And the preserved of Israel is referencing Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the southern kingdom. And the Gentiles are the Israelite foreigners. The other tribes will fall into the light unto the Gentiles. Okay, now we're going to go back to that, but let's go to further prove what I said. Let's go to Acts 13, because Isaiah 49:6 is a fulfillment that was fulfilled in Acts 13th chapter, where Paul went into the Gentiles. So this is Acts chapter 13. Let's go right to the point. Okay, so this Acts 13:44. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of God. But when the Jews saw that the multitude, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you, but seeing ye put it from you, and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. So Paul and Barnabas, they tried to, they went to the Jews. All right, the Jews were what? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All Israel was not on the scene. This is only the southern kingdom. So Paul and Barnabas went to the Jews first, but they didn't want to believe on the Messiah. So what? Paul and Barnabas turned to the Gentiles. Now these are the Israelite foreigners. All right, some of those Jews, starting with the Jews who were in a Gentile state of mind. But this is the beginning of the awakening of all the 12 tribes. All right. So it says they turned into the Gentiles. Now it says, verse 47, for so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light I have set thee to be a light of the Gentiles, that thou shouldest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. So this was quoted in Isaiah 46 and 49 and 6. All right, so Paul and Barnabas, they turned from the Jews because of their unbelief and went into the Gentiles. So we know that these Gentiles are Israelite foreigners. All right. But it said that they turned from the Jews, okay, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, showing you that all Israel the word wasn't delivered to all Israel at first. It was only delivered unto the Jews. Okay, and this is a whole fulfillment of Isaiah 49 and 6. So now let's go back to Isaiah 49 and 6. It's Isaiah 49 and 6. So it reads, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. So the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel is only referencing the house of Judah. Okay? Because what you got to understand is, the Most High, he cut off the rest of the tribes. He cut off the 10 tribes. All right? So the tribes here, the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel is the same thing. Okay? This is what you call synonymous parallelism. Okay? And the word "and" right here is used to join with what is called synonymous parallelism. Okay? So let's look that term up so we can fully go in depth of how the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel is talking about the same thing. So this is ChatGPT, and that says how the word "and" is used in the Bible. How the word "and" is used in the Bible. I meant to put to explain synonymous parallelism. That says, excellent question. This is actually an important key to understanding Hebrew poetry and thought. In the Bible, especially in Hebrew poetry and prophecy, the word "and," Hebrew word "wa," is very commonly used to join synonymous parallelism. That is, two phrases that express the same or closely related ideas in slightly different words. It says, let's break this down clearly. What is synonymous parallelism? Synonymous parallelism is a poetic feature in Hebrew where the second line repeats or reinforces the idea of the first line. Use different words or imagery. Now remember, we read in Isaiah 49:6, it says, we'll give thee, to the tribes of Jacob, and it says, and the preserved of Israel. Okay? And I mentioned how that's synonymous parallelism. So it says, let's read that again. Synonymous parallelism is a poetic feature in Hebrew which the second line repeats or reinforces the idea of the first line. Use different words or imagery. And that's what's being used in Isaiah 49. The second line is repeating, the preserved of Israel is repeating the tribes of Jacob, which is referring to the house of Israel. Okay, because the preserved of Israel was the tribes of Judah, which the Most High preserved unto himself. Why? Because the rest of Israel, which are the 10 tribes, they were cut off from being a nation. That's in Hosea, the first chapter. Let's continue reading. Example, structure. Line A says an idea. Line B reinstates that same idea in different ways, in different words. In English poetry, we might say, he is wise and full of understanding. Both phrases describe the same trait. How the word and functions in these constructions. The conjunction and, Hebrew word wa, doesn't always mean addition. It often serves to connect two equivalent expressions, not to separate actions or ideas. Right, because somebody will read that verse, it says the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel, and they would take that as that's talking about both the tribes of the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, which makes all Israel. But no, that's not what the verse is saying. So it says the conjunction and doesn't always mean addition. So when you read the Bible and you read the word and is not always bringing an addition of something else. It often serves to connect two equivalent expressions, not to separate actions or ideas. And in other words, and can clear. It says, in other words, and the word and can mean that is, even, or that is to say. So instead of joining two distinct things, it joins two ways of saying the same thing. Right. So in the Bible, the word and is commonly used to join two words that's saying the same thing. Now it's going to give you examples, scriptures where and joins synonymous parallelism in the Bible. Psalms 24:1. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Here the earth parallels the world. We know in the Bible the earth and the world is the same thing. And the fullness thereof parallels they that dwell therein. So this is an example of how synonymous parallelism is used in the Bible. Okay? The world, the earth is the Lord, the earth and the fullness thereof, and it says the world and they that dwell in it. The earth and the world is the same thing. The fullness thereof and they that dwell in it are parallel. It's speaking of the same thing. All right. Let's go to another one. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Heaven, pretty much equals firmament. Declare and glory show his handiwork. The and joins two lines expressing same truth. All right, so we get the let's jump down to this one, because this is a common one we use. Isaiah 1:3. It says the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. It's not separating them. The ox and the ass is both a donkey. It's the same thing. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. So a ox the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. The owner and master's crib both point to recognition and relationship, parallel thoughts joined by and. Well, Salaki, I meant to say, I didn't mean to say the ox and the ass is the same thing, but this is showing you that the owner and the master's crib, these animals both know their owners. So it's using the same thing. Another perfect example, let's go to the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms 51. Psalms 51 and Salaki, I'm in the wrong chapter. Psalms 51. Psalms 51 and 2. This is a perfect example of how synonymous parallelism and how the word and is used to join. So it says, wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. Now it says wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. Now we know iniquity and sin are not two separate things. They're the same thing. They're both transgression, breaking the law. All right. So iniquity and sin is the same thing. It's synonymous. Wash and cleansing is synonymous. It's the same thing. You know, washing and cleansing. So it says, wash me from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. So it's not talking about two distant things or two different things. It's talking about the same thing, but and is used to intensify what's stated in the first line. Okay. So when you go to, so now let's go back into Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49. And read it again. So it says, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. This is talking about the northern kingdom. Salakia, the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. The tribes of Jacob here is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And the preserved of Israel is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. This is synonymous parallelism, okay? All right? Because the rest of the tribes, they were cut off from being a nation. The 10 tribes were cut off from being a nation. So here you have the tribes of Jacob, which is not referring to the 12 tribes. The tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And the preserved of Israel is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, because that's who the Lord preserved unto himself, okay? And cut off the rest of the nation. Now it says, I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation to the end of the earth. Right, so now the Gentiles here, this is where the 10 tribes come in, all right? The Israelite foreigners, the Israelites that were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Key point, it says, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. The other nations is not going to receive salvation. Who is going to receive salvation from the ends of the earth? Israel. Why? Because they're going to be brought back from all the lands where they were scattered. You have Isaiah 11 chapter goes into that. Jeremiah 16 chapter goes into that. It's all throughout the scriptures. Israel was scattered. And they are in a Gentile state of mind, living like the other nations. So the Lord is going to bring them out of that. Okay? So this is where all the rest of Israel fits as the Gentiles. Okay? Because the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel is talking about the house of Judah. All right? Because the house of Judah was known as Israel. All right? And not the 10 tribes, because they were cut off from being a nation. We could get like a precept or two. Let's go on Hosea 1. We could let's go to Hosea 4. Hosea 4 is good. Hosea I start from 14. I will not punish I will not punish your daughter when they commit whoredom. Verse 15 I meant to go to. Verse 15. Though thou, Israel, played the harlot, yet not Judah offend. And come not ye unto Gilgal, neither go ye up to Bethaven, nor swear the Lord liveth. For Israel slideth back as a backsliding heifer. Now the Lord will feed them as a lamb in a large place. Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Right, so the Most High is, he said what? Though Israel, they played the harlot, yet let not Judah offend, because, ultimately the Lord was going to preserve Judah unto himself. But it says, look, Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone, okay? Leave Ephraim alone, which, is a representation of the house of Israel. And the Most High was going to do away with the 10 tribes, but he was going to only deal with the house of Judah. That's Hosea, the first chapter. We go right to the point. So this is Hosea dealing with the harlot. Hosea 1:6. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and God said unto him, call her name Leruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. So the Lord he took away Judah. He took away the house of Israel, and he had mercy on the house of Judah. So the house of Judah would be a representation of Israel. Now when she had weaned Leruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Right, so the Most High said that Israel, the 10 tribes, will not be his people. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appointed themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Yeah, so the Most High cut off Israel from being his people, and he's going to bring them back, all right? So these are those which were the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, the ones who were not the Lord's people, all right, the house of Israel that were cut off. They were going to come back into the fold. That's why the scriptures says that I will give thee for a light unto the Gentiles being the Israelite foreigners, okay? So, with that, hope you brothers got some understanding on what Isaiah 49 and 6 is referencing in context. So, with that, I'm going to say all praises due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and shalom to